Devastated, absolutely devastated to lose it the way we did tonight. I want to start off by congratulating Brighton. They were 20 shots to 16 on the night. They're marginally the better side in terms of attempts. They were definitely the better footballing side. But as a Man United fan, I'm just gutted to lose it that way. A draw tonight would have been good for us. And it just stupidity from Luke Shaw, who up until that point had a tremendous game, an absolutely tremendous game playing at centre-back again. And there was never a free kick, which led to the corner, which led to the penalty. But he doesn't even need to do that. Every now and then, football players make these mistakes. And I cannot fathom for the life of me why they do it. There is a bitterness in me. There's a bitterness in me because there's been a number of handballs in recent weeks that my club hasn't got. That doesn't mean this shouldn't have been given. I'm not a hypocrite. This was a penalty, 110%. But there's a bitterness because of handballs my team haven't got in recent weeks. So I'm frustrated. I'm angry at Luke Shaw after a brilliant performance of throwing away that very important point. I'm angry again at Man United's second half performances because, again, in the first half, we were the better side. Rashford, great shot from his left foot, well saved by Steele. Martial, a very good attempt, well saved by Steele. You had Anthony with 2 chances. We were creating opportunities. We were holding our own. They had more of the ball, but the majority of their possession was in their own half. It wasn't really hurting us. We were playing well. Second half, stereotypical of these players. These players stopped playing. There is no doubt in my mind that this is the players becoming unnerved away from home against some of the better footballing sides. This is the team almost becoming a bit complacent, maybe. It's either losing their bottle or becoming complacent. You can see the manager on the touchline screaming at them to press harder, screaming at them to stop panicking and hoofing the ball into the wrong areas. Have some composure. And Man United lacked that. And a lot of that will be cleared out in the summer transfer market. You know, Fred had a good game in the first half, faded massively in the second. Martial, I love that kid, but the guy turns like Per Mertesacker now. He's got no his athleticism has left him. There's even a few times in the game where he goes to control the ball, but he can't get his leg high enough, quick enough to do it. His body looks shot after all those injuries. Still playing out from the back causes some problems. You saw the way Brighton played out from the back tonight, professional with ease, even in tight spots. Our back line, collectively, all of them out there tonight. Luke Shaw's probably the best technically. And even he is still lower down the pecking order in terms of overall technical ability in the Premier League for defenders. We just struggle to be able to build up pressure from the back because of that lack of technical ability. And I don't want to take anything away from Brighton. Obviously, I report on the top 6 teams, so this is a Man United match reaction, essentially. They deserve the win, I would say. I think we walked away with a draw, I was going to be very, very happy. Based on the second half performance. First half, we were probably the better team. Second half, they were. But you get to that last 5-10 minutes, and we weren't trying to win. We were not trying to win. And that's my issue. These players went, right, they're sitting for the last 5-10 minutes, and we'll nick a draw. And I don't like that attitude from these players. And it's something that, look, Ten Hag is going to punish them for this because a lot of these players will be leaving over the next couple of transfer windows. He'll be looking for upgrades. But the lack of mentality at the end, for me, is, and it is a mentality thing because Luke Shaw handballing it is a mentality issue. It's a mentality issue. The likelihood of that header going in from the edge of the box is far less likely than a guaranteed penalty with VAR. It doesn't make sense, but that is what panic does to you. Why was he panicking? Because throughout that second half, we just kept on sitting back. We stopped on, we allowed the pressure to be created against us rather than punching back. And I'm so disappointed in these players tonight. I'm so frustrated in what they did towards the end because up until that moment, we'd had a really good game. And this would have been the first match since February that Brighton hadn't scored in at home. Very good goal scoring record at home this year. Massively frustrating. And it opens up It opens up that top 4 race now. Yes, Man United are 4 points ahead of Liverpool, but lose to West Ham this weekend, and there's a Liverpool win. It's 1 point. Yes, with a game in hand, but games in hand are not guaranteed. Yes, I think the game in hand is against Chelsea, but that ain't the point. Man United now have more pressure on them on Sunday. And listen, that West Ham crowd are going to be rocking on Sunday because most West Ham fans are proper, like, royalists. Coronation weekend, they'll be lagged up all day. It's going to be a raucous atmosphere. They're also still in a relegation fight. Whether I know they've jumped up to 15th, but they're only 4 points away from the relegation. It's going to be a massively difficult game now for Man United on Sunday. If we got this point, the pressure would have been off slightly more. It's just disappointing for me. And as I say, look, I'll give massive credit to Brighton. It was 100% a penalty, but honestly, I'm in conflicted minds right now. It was a penalty; they deserved it. But the penalties we haven't got in recent weeks, especially the handballs against Southampton, I can't get them out of my head. And I thought there was some other weird refereeing decisions tonight as well, because a lot of Liverpool fans saying it's top 4 on. I've been telling you, it's been on for about 3 or 4 weeks, but you want to do that weird thing of playing it down and then pretend that you are massive underdogs. We said Liverpool from January would be in this top 4 race, and you are in this top 4 race, Liverpool. You've got a great chance of doing it. Simple as that. Better manager, better team than Manchester United, as you all know. So, of course, you've got a great chance of doing it. Absolutely. But for me, I look at it very much along the lines of, I am bitter because we didn't get those decisions go our way, but the ref made some other mistakes tonight. I actually think Matoma should have got a penalty in the first half. Very slight touch on him. Not given. There was one on Rashford that was identical, very slight touch. And the reason I say there should be penalties is we've seen 3 penalties over Saturday, Sunday, and yesterday in the City game given for minimal touches. And do you see what I was saying yesterday, guys? If the ref gives them, they don't overturn them. But if the referee misses them, how is it not a clear and obvious error if he hasn't seen that minimal contact? If minimal contact is enough to get a penalty, it's farcical. And I think that's why some people will be angry with VAR tonight, because sometimes VAR gets involved and there are other times where it doesn't. We've seen a number of handballs in the last 3 months in the Premier League get ignored. And then you get one like tonight, which, by the way, is a pen, and they go to it. And I think that's where football fans get highly frustrated at the refereeing. That takes nothing away from Brighton, but, I've been calling out VAR and the referees for a number of weeks now for their inconsistencies, and that's got to remain. Terry, should Casemiro have been sent off? I would say you could argue he was lucky not to get sent off, but then so should Caicedo. Caicedo got booked for his foul on Bruno Fernandes, but should have been booked for a foul in the first half where he misses the ball and studs on the top of Rashford's foot. That's a booking. Billy Gilmore, a minute before Casemiro's proper second yellow, commits a yellow card offence and doesn't get booked. So he did deserve a second yellow, but the referee tonight on a couple of occasions didn't give yellows when he should have done. So again, more inconsistencies from the referees here. So I absolutely agree that if people say Casemiro should have got a red, but Caicedo should have got 2 bookings in this game as well. Billy Gilmore didn't get a yellow when he should have done, and these things happen. Even in the fracas that happened where Anthony's late tackle on McAllister, rightful yellow card, Dunk gets booked for kicking off, but then Estepinian gets involved and doesn't get booked. This is what I mean by the inconsistencies of referees. And sometimes I think everything's a tick box. And we gave them a penalty last week. We won't give them one this week. But we booked those 2. We don't need to book a third, do we? They don't follow the laws of the game. So, yeah, listen, I'll take it on the chin. Casemiro lucky to stay on. But then you have to have the same energy for everybody else. You see me having the same energy for everybody else. But will you? Is the big question. Are you man or woman enough to have the same energy? I doubt it, my little trolls. Terry is very Terry tonight. I'm being very fair. Praising Brighton. Got 100% penalty. More angry at my team. Calling out inconsistent refs that you've all called out in recent weeks. But we're not going to do the same tonight because it's Man United? Maybe. Maybe not. But there we go. Someone here says Casemiro 5 Champions Leagues. Ha, ha, ha. No, he does have 5 Champions Leagues. He's bad tackle tonight that got him a booking, doesn't take them away from him. Beyond top 4 talk, gotta love the sport, inject it. Listen, I wish it wasn't Man United playing tonight because I think it was a sensational game to watch. It actually was high quality football from both teams, not a poor quality game that was nearly 0-0. It was a high quality game. Both teams had great opportunities to score goals. You're absolutely right. My point on Erik ten Hag will be right. He is a fraud. Okay, but quantify that, my friend. come on camera tonight, Ty, and show your face and tell us what you will not achieve at the club, or tell us what threshold of achievement. You don't have to, you can super chat it. What threshold of achievement stops him from being a fraud? Because this is what a lot of people do. You know, Lee Gunner's doing it at the minute. He said if come May Arsenal were in a title race, they are, he would back Arteta. Is he going to change his mind now? So for you, will you go on record tonight, Ty, and tell us what threshold of achievement the manager needs to achieve to not be a fraud? Then we can stop saying he's a fraud after every loss, and we can and what time scale, and then we can do it that way. Terry, you need to sell, but who will buy them cows? We know who will buy us. A man like Pav here says this manager's away performances are absolutely poor. It's just not the players. Other managers can adapt with injuries. Erik ten Hag has shown he can average. Sure, shown us. Sorry, Erik ten Hag has not shown us he can. Yeah, listen, I hear you with that. That's an element of his game that needs to improve. Man United's performances away from home against the top 9 teams needs to improve. But those results improve with us being more clinical. If we take our chances, and we had the clear-cut chances, both teams did in the opening minute, but then after that, Man United had the next 3 or 4 big ones. In my opinion, Harry Kane's or Haaland's or Osherman's are taking some of those chances. You get that first goal, maybe the second goal, when we were in the ascendancy, gilt-edged chances, you change these games. Maybe not tonight, but the Spurs game, tonight's game, I think about our performance away at Liverpool in the first half, up until their goal. We were the better team. We had some good opportunities, should have taken them. You know, so I look at those performances, and I think Newcastle and City, they wiped the floor of us very, in recent times. We know we've got to improve. Some of the games, it's more about a clinical edge, but it's definitely an area of improvement for Ten Hag. You're absolutely spot on, mate. As a rival, Shaw and Bissaka were great, but United was a disgrace. Second deepest line in the Prem. If that was Mourinho, the reactions would be have been different. The reason I'm not worried about how deep the line is, doesn't bother me at all. It's more about what you do with the ball. Against teams that this manager doesn't think we can outplay football against, we sit deeper. Against teams that we can, or at home, we push further up the pitch. The manager does adapt to try and win with what he's got. Doesn't always get it right. But year 1 into his rebuild, I'm still happy with Ten Hag overall. But again, I'm not going to be a TPF. I'm not going to be a toxic positivity fan and attack him and slander his name because there are areas of improvement that are needed. We're not the finished article. If we were, we'd be in the title race. Red for Shaw and Casemiro would have been by a top 4. Yeah, you could argue that. But listen, as you say, there were decisions that went against both teams tonight. And again, no disrespect to you, no Fox given. But I didn't see any of this energy when Man United weren't awarded 2 clear-cut penalties against Southampton in the draw. So, I'm going to say, yes, we were lucky. But remember, when I say we're unlucky, at least give me the credit for not being a hypocrite when I do that, please. Napoli wins Serie A and Brighton score a penalty. Is it me, or does this have has this been an Argentina year? Sorry, Terry. It's been a big year for the RGs. There's no doubt about it. Are those tears in your eyes, Terry? Do you know what? On a real level, I'm disappointed in my team. But I had my final checkup for cancer today, and I got an all clear. So in the grand scheme of things, it's been a great day. Although I didn't take a sedative before having a camera down my throat. The worst experience of my life. Legitimately. So yeah, there's no tears in my eyes. I'm in a very happy mood tonight. I'm not going to lie to you. For the first time in 6 months, I actually have a clear head. It's the first time I've streamed in 6 months without chronic chest pains and cramps. And I'll explain that another day. But disappointing my team. Thoughts, is this Rashford's quietest game? Now, again, I thought Rashford had a very good first half, a very impactful first half. The whole team faded in the second. Now, this is the problem. We always want to have a go at our attackers and isolate them all. But if the defense stops playing out from the back and we go long, and we stop playing for our midfield as we did in the first half, what do we expect our strikers to do? Martial in the first half annoyed me. The second half, his performance didn't, because we didn't work the ball into those areas. So the second half, yeah, all of our front line were quiet. That isn't because they're bad players. It's because we weren't moving the ball up. The players became too negative. I don't believe it's a managerial instruction. I just don't believe he says, right, guys, now sit back and don't attack for the second half. That makes sense to me, ATM. If United bottled top 4, that's embarrassing, regardless if people thought you wouldn't be there this season. Yeah, listen, if we don't make the top four, I'll be fuming. You're not going to see me backtrack. You're not going to see me try and redefine the word bottle, redefine the word failure. That will be a failure within our season because there'll be no Champions League football next year. The two trophies will be amazing, but I believe we could become a much superior team next year compared to what we are now. And I think Champions League football is part of that. So yeah, absolutely. You ain't going to see a proper Man United fan deny it. I'm never going to do that. Man's got chest, bruv. Erik ten Hag is not the man for us. You need to explain why, and more than that, my friend. I need more detail than that. More detail, because that's a throwaway statement. With respect, expand. The referees are incompetent or fraudsters. There's no doubt they are. It's the consistency that kills us fans. Even with all the tech in the world, I want to hear the refs mic'd. In Australia, with the AFL and NRL, we can hear them. Yeah, absolutely. They should be mic'd up. We all know that 110%. What is this Anthony's odd fetish with kicking players? He didn't kick. He went for the ball and missed it. It was not a kick. It was a foul. Rightful yellow card for Anthony tonight. But at least he didn't run away from the big man. I like that. As an Arsenal fan, Asensio, I can't pronounce his name now. I've been saying it all game, but yes, who is Vieira is supposed to be Brighton's recruiter, is outstanding. They get Europe. Their players might pull them. Their player pool then will make him scary. Look, Brighton are very, very good, and it's a different pressure when you come into a team like Brighton compared to an Arsenal or a Liverpool or a Man United. But their recruitment is sensational, absolutely sensational. Points dropped, but I'm not worried. We'll get top four. Look, I'm still confident of the top four. But I said last night, and again, people get so. I noticed all the betas that watched the Terrace last night. Well, why are you worried about teams? Why are you worried about Liverpool? You're lying. The reason you're triggered is because you are, but don't want to admit it. If you don't admit your fears in life, that's not being a man. That's not being a top G, to coin the phrase. Admitting your fears and worries and concerns is one of the manliest things you can do. Crying about them every day is different, but Liverpool are closing in on Man United. Their win rate is really good. Man United have got to win their next two games. They've got to win. We've got to win our next two games back to back just to relieve that pressure. Lose to West Ham with a Liverpool win this weekend, and it's peak. We need a clinical finisher up front. That's what cost us the game. We do. We need Rashford out on that left. We need an Osimhen or a Kane in number 9. That transforms our team massively. Plus more players elsewhere. We've got to do you guys a favor on Sunday and beat the Magpies. So who plays who this weekend? I don't even. I haven't even. I know who United have got. I haven't even looked at the other games. Who plays Newcastle? Oh, it's Arsenal Newcastle, isn't it? Yeah, all on the same day. Who have Liverpool? Liverpool got Brentford, which is a tough game. Yeah, look, it's going to be a mad weekend. It's going to be a mad weekend. I let the rivals have their fun, but I ain't worried. Listen, and if you're not worried, fair play to you, bro. Thank you, AJ, for this towards my health. Yeah, look, honestly, I'm actually going to do a video and address it because I had like a lot of you message me during streams like, Terry, you're always feeling your pulse, you're always grabbing your chest. What's wrong? I will be able to explain it. And after all the results came back today, I do feel it. I actually feel better. Even though I had real physical pain, like it seems to have gone like instantly. I haven't felt like this in 6 months. It's crazy. So is Arsenal a finished article since we are in a title race? Look, I think that's a really good question because it calls into action what I've said. I think you can finished article might be the wrong word. Looking at what you've said there, so that's a very good one, Freeman. Because even City right now, you say the finished article, but they could buy a player in the summer that improves their team and their squad. It might only be a minimal improvement. Like Haaland hasn't made them an exponentially better team in the league this year. Average amount of points they normally get, but he still improves and gives their team something different. So I still think when you're a team that's in a title race, a team that's right near the top, you can make marginal improvements everywhere. But the improvements that Man United will make with 4 or 5 high-level players coming in the summer, the jump is going to be massive. Arsenal's jump will be smaller because you're already near the top. If that makes sense, you don't have to jump as much. But yeah, maybe finished article isn't the right word because that makes you sound perfect, and no team is ever really perfect, generally speaking. It's a really good challenge, mate. It's one of the best challenges I've ever had in the Terrace. Well done. If United or Liverpool finish 5th, and City wins the Champions League, one of them will get the spot next year. Maybe. I get confused now with what gets you in the Champions League and doesn't, but maybe maybe that is true. Terry, how am I feeling now? Look, I feel good. I feel good. And do you know, I didn't help. I will do a full thing on this, but I was starting to feel better. And then I had the worst chest infection ever. And I'm on my second course of antibiotics, and they've even given me, these are all gone now, but steroids to take because the breathing weren't clearing up. And I'm like, I ain't catching a break with this. You guys don't actually know this, but there was a 3-week period this year where I wasn't bedbound because I was streaming still, right? I was having to sit in my office chair, and Jess was having to wheel me from room to room because I couldn't walk. That's how sick I got. I will say this, though. I still worked every day. I still don't see there being an excuse to not go to work. If you don't have to do something physical, that is. But yeah, that's been peak for me, bruv. Legit. It's definitely been peak. It's been a madness. But there we go. Right, I'm going to bring my panel out now to have their say on the show. Please do me a favor and smash the like and the share button. And remember, I know a lot of United fans might not want to do it today, but we're giving away 2 tickets in our raffle for the FA Cup final. You can get as many tickets as you want for that raffle by scanning the QR code on our screen or clicking on the link in our description. We're also giving away £250 spending money for you as well on the day. So make sure you go and enter now. Time to bring out my panel. Let's do this. I'm looking for a certain button there. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all good.
Doing lovely, mate. Doing lovely.
What's Zain doing there? Flipping.
I'm not going to kick Zain off, right?
No, don't.
I'm not. But do you know what? One thing I will say? Man United are the only team where no rivals ever sign up for when we win a match. The only team, the only one. But welcome. I want to go to KJ first. It was like history repeating itself because we got a penalty in the last minute against them 3 years ago. Can't believe it.
I can. We knew it's one of those ones. We knew where we was going. We knew we was probably going to lose this game. Just not in the way that we thought. Like the fact that we was 10 seconds away of going there, getting a draw, would have been a really good point for us in terms of the top 6 race, top 4 race. Not conceding against this Brighton team right now would have been, again, back-to-back games we play against them, no goals conceded, would have been really good. Like, it's just, I don't know what Luke Shaw's doing. I really don't. Honestly, I really don't. He was so good for the entirety of the game. Like, honestly, so good. And then then the free kick gets given away against him, which again was not a free kick. Like, I don't know what the ref is doing, but hey. And then his head is gone. You know what I mean? His head's gone. He's vexed. And he's just done stupidness. And this is why I keep saying, I know Neeks, we all have back and forth about how we perceive Man United online and stuff. But this is why I keep saying, top 4 ain't done until it's done. Because these guys are inconsistent. They have these moments of just foolishness in them. And I'm not here sitting here saying, it's over. Oh, it's going to be sacked and hard. No, I'm just saying that we need to be serious here. And these guys need to be shown that, we're not sitting here thinking the job's done. Like, the job ain't finished. We need to go in, get those 3 wins, and then you can start doing foolishness when it don't matter no more. Like,
well, the thing with me, my issue is even more. It's not even like, again, as you said, we probably kind of looked at this game, a lot of us, and thought probably a game we might lose. We're looking at the running, and it's the way that we lost it at the death that's kind of the more gut wrenching thing, because I think a lot of people thought, we'll take a draw, probably, and
I'll bite your hand off. I said at the start of the game, I'll bite your hand off for a draw.
But the disappointing thing is not even that we lost the game. It's the performances at the moment are very, very either poor or inconsistent. Like we had a good performance against Aston Villa. We weren't good in in the Wembley game against Brighton, it was like 50-50, but they probably dominated it. Second half today, we weren't in the game at all, even though we had a good first half, which was like, I was surprised at how we were in the first half. Thought, okay, we've actually come out to play, we're coming to win, and in the second half we didn't have anything. And it's that kind of I don't have any doubts we're going to get top 4, but it's the stumbling over the line that just doesn't make you feel good about it. Like if you stumble over the line to win a trophy, then it doesn't matter, you win the trophy. But to stumble over the line for top 4 is just it feels a bit meh. especially
Yeah.
when you've got a final at the end of the season. You can't afford to be stumbling into that final. You need to pick up. And when we had that first half, I thought, okay, if we can play like this and going forward for the rest of the games, we can actually go into that final with some kind of momentum. But yeah, second half was poor. We didn't deserve to win the game. It's just a shame that Luke Shaw had a moment of madness and then we lost it, innit?
And you know the madness for me is I said this after I think it was a Sevilla game, or was it the game before? Wherever game it was that Martinez got injured, and it all kind of went a bit nuts. I said it, we're gonna limp to the finish because, as you can see, our team is fatigued. We're tired, not just physically, mentally. That's when you get the mistakes creeping into people's games. That's when you get the lapses of concentrations, the Casemiro's who's dropping 5, 6s out of 10s when he was a 8 or a 9 out of 10 every game damn near. Our team's tired, man, and we're going to limp to the end, and we are definitely in a top 4 race. I said that after Sevilla. I'll say it again today. Liverpool have just as good a chance as finishing in the top 4 as United right now, and there's no doubt about it for me personally.
But you know what's mad, yeah? I'll let Staffy and obviously let Zain go and have his little rant of him saying, bruv, yeah, what, bruv, I told you, bruv. Like, I know that's coming, so I accept
All the
that.
spitting in the mic.
But, you know what I mean? yeah, foaming at the mouth and that. But for the people saying Ten Hag, that's it, Ten Hag needs to be sacked or he's not good enough just based off this season. It's kind of like, what do we really expect when there's a team with players from Fergie, players from LVG, players from Mourinho, players from Oli, and players from Ten Hag? He's not been given a chance yet to completely overhaul everything. Until that happens, we can't really sit here and say he's just not good enough for achieving a trophy and top 4. It don't make no sense. And
but those people, KJ, I would like to know what they thought at the start of the season. Once the transfer window was all done and you saw, what was your thoughts at the start of the season? Because again, it's a lot of times it can be recency bias. You're looking at the way that our form has kind of tailed off recently, and everyone's like, Ten Hag's terrible. And obviously at the moment, Liverpool form is going the other way, and people are praising them. But the reality is, but the reality is, a season is 38 games. So do you judge a team on their last 5 games, or do you judge them over the course of the season? At the end, the table never lies. So if he gets top 4 and obviously he's won a trophy, what do you judge him on? How you end the season or the season?
You judge the overall thing, and what you said there, KJ, spot on. And I've seen a lot of people do these like comparisons of Ten Hag's season, and what they often do is Ollie's second season or Jose's second season. Points wise, it's the best first season any Eddie new Man United manager has had since Fergie. First season that they've had. We are 1 point worse off than Pep's first season in the Premier League at this same stage. So, and Pep's a superior manager and also took over a team that was in the middle of winning things still. So I do think there's a hyperbolic overreaction from some Man United fans, and you'll probably find if you dig deep enough, they wanted Poch or they wanted somebody different. And this happens to most fans of clubs who have gone through multiple managers in the last decade in the social media era. People go, oh, I wanted Jose, not Antonio Conte. I'm just making this example up. And then they give Jose a chance. But every time he slips up, their bias for what they really want comes out, as opposed to being kind of objective with the new manager and looking at the totality of his achievements in this first season and then looking at what he's dealing with. And Pav said earlier, like, he can't adapt enough. But I also look at it from a perspective of he's still starting games with a squad that he has. I mean, the whole back line tonight isn't his team. He didn't buy any of those players as an example. The midfield that started, one of those players is his. The attacking line that started, one of those individuals that started the game tonight is his. Look, Rashford and Bruno, I'll include as his because I think he wants to build them as part of his team. But I'm not going to let nights like tonight and our bad away form against the top 9 teams. I'm not going to allow that narrative to cloud the overall season. I know it's something that we've got to improve on, but what I think rivals are looking for, what the media are going to do, because TalkSport will do this tomorrow. They'll turn around tomorrow and talk about how that's what they'll focus on is being the overarching element of his season. And it's not just how you start, it is how you finish. We end up getting top 4 and we get an FA Cup. I'm going to be buzzing. As long as we improve on these things next year, I'm not overly worried because, again, we're not 3.5 years or 7 years into him running our team. He's 9 months, 10 months into it. And if other managers are allowed time who have had longer, all I'm hearing from the media about Arsenal, and rightfully so, by the way, is no, Arteta needs more backing, more time. Look how much they've improved. Different reasons. You've had Klopp, who's run and built a squad for 7 years. He's had a bad year in it, so he needs time, though, to build another team, give him opportunity. For some reason, the media don't want to give Erik ten Hag the same leeways they're giving other managers, and that's time to build a squad, time to have multiple summers. He's the only manager where the spending before him is being used against him. And I, as a Man United fan, I'm just not going to turn around and allow that to happen without some pushback. And people can call me a spin doctor or whatever it is they want to do. But I'm going to apply, just like I did with the penalty tonight, the same logic I do to everybody. Remember what Simon Jordan said today as well, away from Man United. Downplayed Haaland's goals because this era isn't as good as previous eras in the 90s. Scoring goals is easier. But in the same very show says if City win the treble, it's the greatest English team of all time. How can it be if football's easier now? Like, this is what I mean by the lunacy when it comes to professional punditry and debate. What they say, they speak out of both sides of their mouth at all times. And fans that join in with it, all you're going to do is ruin your own club's legacies at one point when they take them away from you. Staffy, what did you make of the performance tonight and the way in which Man United lost? How are you feeling, bro?
I don't know about others. It reminds me a lot of the Arsenal game when we lost away from home in terms of when you look at the first half, it should have never been goalless. You know, both teams should have had goal. We had enough chances to score. They had a couple decent chances in the first half. Obviously, they played a much better second half than the first half. It just reminds me of the Arsenal game a lot because it reminds me that we can't play a sustainable way of football for 90 minutes. If you guys remember the Arsenal game, we collapsed after 60 minutes. The last 30 minutes, we just defended for our lives, and we actually conceded in that last minute. So when you look at it, the games are very similar in terms of when you play a team that's very dominant on the ball, has a purpose every time they get the ball, and they're at home, so they're getting that crowd pushing them. They'll always get away with us when we just sit back the last 30 minutes and just try to defend for our lives. Our team is still not good enough. Like, you've seen Jose Mourinho teams for years where they're able to sit there and like get a 1-0 or like a draw where like they didn't really deserve a result, but they fight for their lives and they don't concede late. We're not even that good defensively to do that. You know what I mean? So I honestly don't think there's any shame losing to Brighton, especially that I predicted a loss. This guy that's sitting in the bottom corner here smiling so much, he needs to remember that they didn't beat Brighton once this season. They actually played them 3 times and they haven't beat them. So I hope you came ready with your homework. But anyways, yeah, they're a good team. Honestly, when you look at the last like 30 minutes of the game, they really pushed a lot. They deserve to win that. I'm not going to overreact. I'm not going to make much out of it. You know, I'm not going to say Ten Hag out. You know, you saw me more pissed there when we tied 2-2 versus Spurs as today. Today, I'm much calmer talking because I expected this. I actually expected worse than this. You know, if, as you said, if we tied, we were one penalty decision away from saying, you know, we got something out of this game that, you know, it's kind of impressive, you know. So the manner of defeat wasn't bad for me. I'm upset that we lost, obviously, because at the end of the day, I'm a fan. But the manner of defeat doesn't upset me. You know, hopefully next year we go out, as you said, and build a better team that has more of the profile players that he wants. So we don't have to sit in those away games against teams like Brighton and Arsenal and City and Liverpool and defend for our lives, you know?
Can I just say quickly before obviously you bring Zain in, is that obviously respond to some of the comments because Arsenal fans are like, oh, you didn't have the same energy for Arteta and Arsenal. We are still in the driving seat for change expectations change over the course of the season. Start of the season, nobody expected top 4. Middle of the season, we expect top 4. We are sitting in 4th and we're in the driving seat for top 4. Your expectations change in the middle of the season to win the league. You are no longer in the driving seat for your change expectations. So what do you the energy has to be the same if the situation is the same. Situation is different. We are 4 points clear of 5th with a game in hand. I think for me, there's nothing to lose our head about. There's no energy that I need to come with. If in the end we bottle the league, not the league, but the top 4 and our league position, then I'm gonna have a different energy because our expectations changed at the start of the season. But
Yeah.
here we are in the position that our expectations changed to.
I,
So
I totally agree. And but a lot of people say, yeah, but Terry, you spent 200 million. I know. And Pep's first season, he spent 216 million. I'm saying this, and maybe this is the bit that people are struggling with layered thinking. Everything you're calling Ten Hag out for, our away record from home against the top 9 teams, our second half performances of late, the line being too deep, maybe. I think they're all valid criticisms, but they stop at the end of the criticism. At the end of the criticism, and that's something to improve on in his second year. Not what I think some people want to hear from Carl. I think what some people want to hear come out of my mouth is, and therefore I want him sacked. And that's not going to happen. So
no, it just did. They've clipped you now, Terry. They've clipped a little bit now.
I think that's the thing for me. It's almost I agree with what rivals are saying, but I think what they want my reaction to be, it isn't going to come because I don't feel, and this is what I love. See, this is I've clocked it this year. People call it excuses. People don't want to hear why you failed anymore. They just want to hear you say we are crap. That's all. That's what people turn up to hear. And I don't feel like Man United are a crap team. We're a team in transition. We're a team that's improving. I agree with a lot of the criticisms, but that's where it ends. We improve on it next year, and then we see. But in my opinion, our record against whoever the top 9 teams are next year, I believe our away record against them next season will be better. I absolutely fundamentally believe that.
This is why, Terry, I keep saying, 1 second, Dizzy, my bad. This is why I keep saying we have, as a team, we have a lot more to look forward to next year and to improve on than people want to think. A lot of people are saying, well, there's no guarantee that the next year when Ten Hag gets his players, this and that's going to happen. There's so many flaws still in this team. It's so much easier to improve on it than a team who, like, when we argue with the Arsenal, and I'm not saying that we're on courts with Arsenal, but like when I was making that argument that they have less to improve on next year, but because this year they were almost perfect and they bottled at the end. You look at our team, there's so much still to improve on. These away runs, when you go away and you don't lose last minute games like Arsenal and Newcastle, or Arsenal and Brighton today, or you don't get piped like that City game and that Liverpool game, there's much more to improve on and to look forward to than to just sit here and say, well, there's no guaranteed success for Ten Hag next year when he gets his players. No, there's actually so much that he could still do with this team.
Do you know what I'm going to say to rivals as well that are saying, Terry, you're being a spin doctor. No, you're actually a crap team. No, you're actually going to be 8th next year. You're the same guys that when I say we're overachieving, so you can't be because you're brilliant. So what are we? Rubbish and come in 8th next year? Or are we overachieving this year? Again, the banter don't work. You guys got to stick to one story to make it work. You keep changing.
It's lazy.
You're so fluid with your banter.
Two things. If you think we're gonna finish 8th, if you got bollocks, put money on it right now. If you're about it, do it, fam. And then
bro, they're probably the same people who said we're finishing out of top 4 this season. It's probably the same people.
They would never put money on it. But what I will say is, on today's game, it's not just about United and what United didn't do or what we failed to do. Brighton played an amazing game. They are an incredible team. De Zerbi's gone playing an incredible game. Caicedo is a fantastic player. Matoma had Wan-Bissaka. Well, Wan-Bissaka largely had him, but he kept him busy.
Wan-Bissaka today. Wan-Bissaka today didn't have nobody. He was just chilling. He was there to chill. I don't know what my man.
No, man, Matoma didn't do.
He's making me laugh. AWB was doing this thing where I was like, why are you leaving your whole outside open? And do you know, it's one thing I would say. Everyone's saying buy Matoma. AWB's exposed his weakness. That guy don't want to use. That guy is like, he's a bit like Anthony. As in, you put him on his left foot, he's a nothing player. He doesn't want to do it. And AWB, if you gave Rashford, or if you gave Grealish, or if you gave Saka that much room on the outside, you're finished. The guy, I couldn't believe it. Sorry, KJ, you were going to say something. Go on.
No, I'm just saying, I love Aaron. He frustrates the hell out of me sometimes, like today. I understand him giving him all the space on his weaker foot because he knows he ain't going anywhere but on the inside or using his right foot. Fine. But there's been times where I'm looking at him today. I'm like, bro, you could have ended this attack by yourself earlier in the passage of play, but you just back up. I'm just like, Not everyday last ditch tackle, my brother. End
No,
it
but
now, bro.
I
you know-
disagree,
Yeah, but
KJ.
yeah, I know what you're going to say, Nick. So I'll let you take it away.
No, go on.
No, I think for me, Matoma wants you to commit early because there's more room for him to knock it past you and run. But when you let it get to as tight a space in the box, Matoma's dribbling has to be inch perfect as he'll lose the ball. If he goes to make that tackle 25 yards out, he'll just knock it past him and run. And he's very quick, Matoma. And on the turn, he'll get beat. So he's doing it because he's luring him into a trap. And then he won the ball. He got to a point where Matoma started diving. Matoma had to dive.
I know.
He had
but
nothing else to do.
I think
I hear what.
Yeah, I just think you could.
I hear where you're coming from. We are going to go to Zain in a little bit. And I want to speak a bit more about the game in itself. It's such a hard. You know what it is? With the way we lost that game, there was things I wanted to talk about. I had notes today. One of my notes was we have to talk about Luke Shaw at centre back. Is that a potential new role? That's out the window now.
I wouldn't say that, Terry. It's a mistake, but I wouldn't say that.
No, but
He had another great game.
I want to speak about Martial being shot as well because, and we'll get on to Martial. Look, it's so hard for me because I love Anthony Martial, but I honestly felt like I was watching. It was like watching myself try and play football at 37 years old and finished. Like the way he was. There was that time where we counterattacked in the second half, and he tried to turn. By the time he turned, the whole Brighton team were back defending. And I'm like, oh, he's gone, isn't he? But we'll move on to him in a minute. Zain is here. What are you saying, Zain?
Hello, everyone. How's everyone today?
We're good, bro.
Right.
Why are you so cross today?
Do you know what? I've just come back from the gym and I caught the last 10 minutes. And I was praying. I was praying for a goal for Brighton. And then the gods, the football gods, as you call them, Terry, they delivered. Neeks, brother, you need to shut your mouth because everything you say goes the opposite. It goes
I didn't say
Someone just tape him up, bro, because he ain't helping you, Man United fans, bro.
Wait. I said we're going to lose to Brighton.
No, you said you're going to guarantee the top 4 now. You didn't just say that about
400%. It ain't going to be you lot.
400%.
Wait, it ain't going to be you lot. Wait, Zain, you don't need to watch out for Brighton.
Yeah, you should be upset that they won. They're taking everybody's spot.
Right.
Don't forget about us.
Do you know what I like?
Brighton on your necks.
Do you know what I like about you guys, right? Is I've noticed a rattle like Stuffy. Come on, bro. You don't have to get personal, bro. Do you get me, man? I ain't said nothing. And you're like, oh, my man's gonna be spitting down this and that, but it's all good.
That's not personal.
I understand you lot are rattled, and there's a lot of man in the chat rattled as well, bro. But you know, like man like me, right? I think I want to play you something because I got receipts. I keep receipts for things like this, right?
Play it,
and if these things happen, I think you might start calling me Nostradamus or something, bro. Do you get me, right? So let me play you something that about a month ago when all the Liverpool fans were sacked, blah blah blah. Here's what man who's got football IQ was saying.
Oh, hurry up.
Right, here we go.
Put it near your microphone.
They all talk about this football IQ, but please, brother, what you lot talking about, man? There ain't no way, as I keep saying, Liverpool will get top 4 because second half of the season, we always turn it up. Yeah, it's a shame that
okay.
But you didn't put it yet.
No. Let me cook, bruv.
So hang on. I'm going to ask you questions. You come on my show. I ask the questions. I'm acting like Piers Morgan now. Are you still confident? Are you still confident of catching Man United?
Yes. Did you not hear that? The thing with me, right, and people either hate it or love it, right? I'm consistent where I won't flip-flop. I like a lot of Liverpool fans. You ain't hear me cussing Klopp saying get him out. You ain't. I've said this season's transitional, and I've said I think last time I was on that I think we'll do really well next season. Don't know how well, but I think we'll do well. So with man like me, I don't say many things that often about we're going to do this, but when I do, I'm consistent with it. I don't just flip flop and say, oh, I never, just flip flop like other man. I won't call him out because I'm better than that, right? So here's my thinking behind why I think I'm confident about top 4. You've got West Ham, right? Away, right? That's away, right? Mm-hmm. And they've been playing good, right? They took points of Arsenal. We were lucky, I'll keep it real, to get by them. And I think in my opinion, my humble opinion, that's another game. There's a high potential. You're going to drop points, right?
All right,
Okay,
continue.
no,
next
Zain,
game.
no,
Continue
Zain, let's
next
do this.
game.
Zain, let's do this. One sec. Okay, say we lose. Okay, say we lose against West Ham because I see what you're saying. We're gonna lose it. Okay, next game will be
Wolves at home.
Wolves at home.
Wolves
What
at
about that?
What's your prediction?
Wolves
Yeah,
for
Nostradamus.
that.
Nostradamus.
You either get a draw or you should scrape a win. But then
So-
Bournemouth, bruv. You've forgotten
So-
about Bournemouth.
We
For a
forgot.
draw.
We're going through the list.
Guys, just in the interest of time, let's just go for it quickly. So, what's going to happen against West Ham, Zain?
You'll probably lose.
So
Lose
that's
again.
no points.
No
Against
point.
Wolves at home, what's your prediction?
I'd probably say you scrape a win,
So
but
3
I'm
points.
hoping for a
Okay,
draw.
Bournemouth,
Yeah,
I want to do it quickly because I want to move
Yeah.
on. Against Bournemouth, what?
You're going to lose.
Okay, so no points. And then we're at home against Chelsea.
Chelsea, you're going to win because everyone's going to beat
So
Chelsea.
we're now on 6 points. And then we're at home against
Fulham.
Then we're at home against Fulham.
And I think you're going to lose that one. And then on the last day of the season, bro, what's going to happen? We're going to have Bottle FC because Arsenal
So,
will
again,
Arsenal
I don't
got-
want to talk about Arsenal. I want to get through this so we can talk about the game. Our
Yeah.
last game of the season is actually at home to Fulham. That is the game. So you think we're getting 6 points in our last 5 games?
Yeah.
That's it. 6 points from 5. That will put us on to what, gentlemen? So that will put us on.
69.
That puts us on to 69 points.
And if we win all our games, we get
That means you've got
71.
to win all 3. Yeah. So again, listen, that's
So-
fair done.
So,
That's
so
fair.
all I'm going to say, right, to you, man, is
Carry on.
that when I say these things, the things that you don't understand is you losing this game puts pressure on your team now
Mate,
to
mate,
deliver.
did you,
I think we
we
all said that. at the
understand that.
top.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. I get everything you've said, though, Zain, and this is why I want to cut it short. Everything you've just said, I said at the start of the video. We're under more
We
pressure
will
now
see.
against West Ham. It's a massive game for us to win. Liverpool are
Yep.
closing in on us. I get you
Yep.
want to come cook, but you're literally saying the things that I've said. In
Yeah,
fact-
I'm just setting the
Zain,
scene.
Zain, let me finish. In fact, I've actually had Man United fans coming for me today going, why are you saying Liverpool can make it when they won't? It's weird to me. Liverpool are in this race and they have been for the last 2 or 3 weeks because Man United is shaky right now. However, we beat West Ham and we beat whoever we play at home in our next home game.
Wolves.
We win our next 2 matches, then I think it's completely done because I just don't see us losing our last 3 games on the bounce. I just don't see that happening. We haven't lost 3 games on the bounce all year. But listen, we'll see what happens with that prediction, Nostradamus. We really will.
Well,
Liverpool-
can I add one more point, Terry?
Go on, hurry up.
Bloody hell, bro. Fucking a hard
Hey, bro,
audience.
you-
is here,
You
bro.
know
What's
what? You know
going
why?
on?
Hang on, I'll tell you why. Because I've got 14 people that have super chatted, and I don't want to disrespect them. I want to get to their points so we can all answer them. If we spend too long on this, I don't have enough time because the times I've got a limited amount of time to do it. So yeah, what's your point, bro?
So my point really is going to be is all this praise you man have been giving Ten Hag this season.
Right?
I expect the same energy when you guys bottle it because the rivals will not let you off the hook if you don't give that energy. So all you Man United fans here now saying,
Zain,
we got Ten Hag, he's the best manager for us.
I've got to pause you, bro. How long have you watched the Football Terrace?
Can't
Too
think,
long.
2-3 years now.
Have you ever seen me defend my club when we bottle something?
I'm not talking about you, Terry, because at least you're one of the guys. I'm talking about the other fans here.
I criticized Ten Hag
And
the
I
last
will
game.
say this. My question to you is this: I get when you come on here and had a go at certain Arsenal fans that were giving it right, but when have you ever seen Man United fans on the terrace not call their team out when we foul at something?
Last game
I
I
think-
did, Zain, against Spurs.
I think I think the examples I'd give is like Rashford. You know, he's
Right.
world class. Do you mean?
Hang on,
Things like
no.
that.
Alright,
Hang
it's
on,
an example.
guys, let me just deal with this. Sorry, that is different. When have you ever seen someone something fail at Man United and we haven't called it out?
Apart from you and KJ,
So-
Neeks is a bit weird like that because he keeps talking about we're doing this and that.
I get it. I get you, bro. Listen,
Can I ask Zain a question?
yeah, go on,
No.
go on.
Brighton. So they're two games in hand on you. They're playing Everton next. Are you worried because top 5th isn't in your hand? 4th isn't in your hands. Are you worried? Nostradamus, I don't know. You tell me. Are they going to come and take your position? It's a question. I don't know. What do I know? I'm just
all I care about is our games, and if we win all our games, we
no. You don't only care about our games.
If they
You
win all their games, they make it.
No. The thing is, right? If we do our job and win our games, that puts pressure on everyone around us. Because the example I'd give you guys is when we had our defender injuries, where Van Dijk and I got injured.
You still finished behind us.
We came third. We should even got top 4 that season. Chelsea bottled it, and they become 4th. So that's all I'm saying, guys. But anyway, I'll let you crack on with your.
No, you can say. I really what you're talking about now. I wanted to do at the end. I wanted to keep on the game, do the super chats, then get into this. Just because otherwise you lose the structure of a match reaction when you go off on. And that's sometimes when you have rivals, they want to go into like banter, which is great. But there's lots of points viewers have paid for, and I don't want to get away from them. Do you know what I mean? If United or Liverpool finish.
I gotta drop Terry. Bro. Guys, big up to Terry. Everyone big him up. This guy was in the hospital today and he's doing a show now. So everyone show him some love, bro. Take care.
Also, you've got to go to work when you're unwell, people. Like, it's no reason to be at home.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't have your birthday off work. It's a proper beta thing to do. Anyway, I love to come on and explain the fraud comment, Terry. But my inverter is gonna die because of a load of shredding. My South Africans will know. Okay. Great. You're going to call out and explain why Ten Hag's a fraud. Fair enough, though, my friend.
Well, do it then. I don't care about your inverter, bro.
Sure, must be fine for this. Missed the header, 1 point. I mean, he had such a good game tonight, Shaw, though, didn't he?
This is why I said, because when they said handball, I was like, wait, where? And I thought it was Lindelof. I was like, but Lindelof's hands nowhere near it. And when I see Luke Shaw's hand just dangling in the air with his tats, I was like, of all the guys, man, he was brilliant.
Great game.
Up until that point, he was brilliant. He has been so good at centre back, where you kind of think, yo, we may as well keep him there. You may as well keep him there for the foreseeable. That's how good he's been. I'm not saying we should, but I'm saying like the way that he's been playing, it's a discussion. He's composed on the ball. He can get out of situations very easily. I remember one point he was getting closed down and he basically just did a chop and Cruyff turned out of it. And it's just like that's something from our centre backs we haven't seen since Leacher. Like Leacher can do that well. He's been injured. Luke Shaw has been able to do these things. He's got the pace to recover. He's got the pace to actually drive forward as well and bring the ball out of defense. He's been brilliant, and it's a shame. Honestly, it's just a shame that he let an incident go to his head and fling his arm up. And he even said in an interview, like just after the game, he said he can't even explain why his arm's there because his head was gone. His head was gone, and that's really much
and I knew that's what he would say without even knowing, because players almost don't do it. They do it on purpose, but it's like almost like a subconscious thing, because you can't even get away with it anymore. Like you used to be able to get away with those things. This comment here says this United team is comparable to Liverpool pre-Klopp. The difference is you guys spent money, but still on garbage. No one is class on your team except for Fernandes. I mean, Liverpool pre-Klopp were the third highest spenders in Premier League history. So definitely, remember, Liverpool in Fergie's era outspent him. So again, let's not come with like lies. Liverpool, some of the biggest spenders in Premier League history. Equally, I think there is more class in there than that. The amount of points we're on now is enough to be in the top 21 of the last 22 seasons. So yeah, I disagree with you, but thank you very much for the super chat, bro.
Asking if United are overachieving.
Yeah, again, if that's true what he's saying and we're garbage, we must be overachieving. It's a great point there, my friend. KJ. My problem isn't about the players from previous managers. It's the fact that I would happily upgrade on 4 out of 5 players signed by Erik Ten Hag. Well, I would love to throw to you. I suppose the question is, which 4 of the 5 players would you upgrade on? I assume the one you wouldn't is Martinez, but that means you'd upgrade Casemiro, Eriksson, Malacia, Anthony. They're the main ones. I don't think he's playing the loans in January. And listen, I kind of agree with you on Malacia. Malacia for me is that. Look, I think you got to remember as well, though, Christian Eriksen wasn't bought to. I don't think he was bought to be a first teamer. He was hoping to get De Jong in that position and whatever else. But listen, I hear you on some of those, my friend. Terry, that's disingenuous, and United haven't had any real competition in the Prem this season. Well, that doesn't mean, but that didn't help us. Not Liverpool being poor didn't help us win games. Barring when we beat them, you could argue, but they beat us 7-0. So it's not, again. Remember this as well. What Zain said: if it's true that United are crap, how embarrassing is this for Liverpool if they don't beat us to the top four?
No,
That's what I'll be more focused on.
Just on that, I think what he's trying to say is if other teams were at the level they normally are, they'd have naturally themselves have a much higher point totals than you at the moment. I think that's what he's trying to say. Like Liverpool would have been in the 70s.
You're Zain.
Nonsense.
Okay.
Barring like 1 or 2 seasons out of the last 15 years of the Premier League, we would, with the points that we have now, we would still be in the top 4. So how would
you don't get a top 4 full of everyone on 80 points? That's what I'm saying.
No, like everyone on their best form isn't.
Us and Zain, I hear your point. If Liverpool were as good as they were last year and were like in second place right now, or even first, then we'd be in 5th. You can argue that.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Zain, though, but again, that logic means that you didn't really win the Premier League when you won it. If City were at their best, which is 100 points, or the year before when they got 98, you wouldn't have won the league.
No, Terry, it's a bit disingenuous. I'm just saying on average over the past 5 seasons.
Stop. But it's not disingenuous. It's a fair point, but then you have to apply that logic to every time somebody wins or achieves. Do you say, well, if you got a harder cup draw, you wouldn't have won a cup? If you got the easy, if you got the harder side of the Champions League draw, you might not have got to the final. If we use that logic all the time, we can pretty much undermine any season ever. Like Simon Jordan this morning that said, football's easier now. So that means everyone who's winning trophies now, they're worth half the trophies of 20 years ago.
No, Terry, I think you missed the point there. What I'm saying is average points total over the past 5 seasons has been really high. That's what I think the chat, the text is trying to say to you.
But how far do you take it? If we were our true form, we actually would be winning the Premier League, and you guys wouldn't have Prems because your true form over the 30 years.
Yeah, whatever.
If Man United, how many years do you think back? You've done 5 years. What if we do 8 years? What if we do 10 years?
And by this,
disingenuous. You judge each season on its individual merits, and then you look at a 5, 6, 7 year period and go, right, who's been the best in that time? Like, it's crazy.
And by
I was factoring the manager being still there for those results as well.
Listen, by this dog shit take, if Newcastle were Newcastle from last season, they'll be 10th or somewhere. If Arsenal were Arsenal from last season, 7th or 8th.
By the way, if it was Leicester of 2 years ago, they wouldn't be in a relegation zone. So they're not really relegated. They're not really relegated. They're really in the Premier League. It doesn't make any sense. Like it. Again, it's a logical fallacy. It's a logical fallacy in terms of judging football that way. Hold up. I already had that one. I don't know why I starred. I feel a few chronic issues with this side is missing chances early on, prolonged spells of inviting trouble and conceding, and frustrating inconsistencies in passing. This may be a result of fatigue. I think there is a bit of mental. I think there is a bit of mental fatigue in there. And I also think the lack of quality. You add those two things together, you get what Man United are now. A team in year 1 under Ten Hag, overachieving, that needs some more rebuilding in the summer. And I'm going to give my manager time to do that because I think he's done a very good job so far. That's a great super chat. Mourinho's first season better than Ten Hag's. How that turned out. Well, Mourinho's first season in 17-18... 16-17 after 33 games. Let's have a look what he was on. League-wise, he was sitting 5th in the league on 60 points. But he won 2 trophies. So if we finish on more points than with 2 trophies and in the Champions League, then you could argue it's been about the same, if not better, for Ten Hag. He's on course to have a better season than Jose Mourinho did. But yeah, it's happy days. This super chat here says he's forgetting that Liverpool still need to play games. Brighton have games in hand against Liverpool, is what Tony said. We've kind of brought that up already, and I think that's I think that's fair. Listen, Liverpool might win all their games, but what's been really interesting, and that's why I said last night why I'm a bit worried about Liverpool is they've won their last 3 when they probably didn't outright deserve to, where both teams had opportunities to win games or equalize, and they kind of got through by hook or by crook, and it's worrying when teams with talent do that. But we'll see what happens against Brentford.
Terry, on that, the reason why Man City and Liverpool have what I've always said, the only teams in this league at the moment who can go on 8-10 win streaks has been Liverpool and Man City. And if you ask any Liverpool Man City fan, they're not like glorious games. A lot of times we just do enough to get over, and that's the difference between teams that can make those runs and not. And can Brighton do that though?
And mate, I'm not talking. Forget Brighton. That's why Liverpool fans telling me in the last 2 weeks don't talk about the top 4 race. That's why it's been a nonsense to me. I completely agree with you. Like when you preach it to me, I just feel like you're preaching to the converted. Like you don't need to tell me that, my brother.
Okay, cool.
I totally agree. Zain just digging his own grave. Good luck, mate. Is what's been said. There.
Normal from Zain.
Could you give me some love from Napoli? Love to you. Hope you're good. Hope you're good. If Brighton win all their games in hand, they're above Liverpool. This is true. Chelsea bottled it. We finished 4th and won the Champions League that season. You plank, Zain. Bottle that.
Can I respond to that, Terry?
Your mic. Go for it. Go for it. He's calling you out. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. With Winter Surfer, you plank yourself. Pep bottled the Champions League, bro. Let's get that facts. Let's get that in there straight. Pep decided on that game to do some next system, which he's never done before, for the biggest game in Man City's history. So let's just get that out there as well, because it wasn't the case that Chelsea outplayed City and, you know,
Zain,
it was Pep causing the downfall.
Zain, Barca bottled the semi-final against you lot. So does that Champions League not count because they were 3-0 up and they threw it away? Like,
hold on, Nick.
Zain, but this is the thing with that logic. Did AC Milan bottle Istanbul after being 3-0 up? You see what this logic does? When you start using logic like you didn't really win, your opponents bottled it, you can take trophies away from everyone.
Okay, Terry, let me ask you a question. What was the score between Chelsea and Man City in that Champions League final? Was it 1-0?
Yeah, 1-0.
Right? To me, okay, when you're talking about AC Milan 3-0 up and they lose the game, you would say that's a bottle job, right? You would say that.
But you're the one who said that City bottled it.
You said
City bottled it because if City had played their normal formation.
Zain, I get that, right? Yeah. So if AC Milan would have come out and not been celebrating at halftime and would have been 100% concentrated, they may have won it. But if you're saying Chelsea don't deserve to be called European champions because City bottled it, then you're taking away Liverpool's Champions League trophy. That's why I keep saying to people, this kind of banter and logic doesn't work. It undoes your own club's history.
No, hold on. But just to finish on that point, because I know we will move on, but the feedback after that game was, why did Pep change his team?
I'll tell you why he did.
It wasn't, Chelsea played so well.
Zain, I'm sorry.
Tuchel played Pep twice between him getting hired and the Champions League final. And both times, City were either equal to or better than Chelsea were equal to or better than City. So Pep decided to change it up for the final because he wanted to win, because Tuchel had his number in the 2 games prior. So
I'll be quick. You know what makes no sense? You're saying, but questions came out after the game of why Pep did X, Y, and Z. But whenever you lose, you get questions of why you do things.
Why you lost. And equally, if AC Milan were an English team, you'd have heard much more in the press about how did you, if City are 3-0 up in the Champions League final this year, and they draw 3-3 and lose on penalties, the press will talk about how that happened. You didn't hear that our press won't focus on AC Milan because they're not the English team, right? And the internet existed, but social media didn't exist, so we couldn't really see what was going on. But that's my point, and I know I come across as rude sometimes, and I don't mean to. But when I hear this type of banter that you could use logic that you could use against everybody's team to discredit them, it's banter gone too far, because it just basically means we're saying our own teams are shit and our own teams don't deserve things. I just can't stand it. I think it's shocking.
So what, Terry, I hear where you're coming from, but that's not.
No, we need to stop.
All I was going to say is that basically, I just feel if Pep played his normal team, he would have done well. But also, you've discounted inertia, momentum within games where a team can be on top for a certain point, then suddenly one goal goes in, and suddenly the other team loses confidence, and suddenly they're in a back foot, and then the other team keeps going.
I know what you're saying. There are 100 different ways to describe bottling, and it's fine to say a team bottled it. But to say that the winning team didn't deserve, like you could say tonight, Brighton didn't deserve the win. Because if Luke Shaw hadn't bottled it in the last minute, it's not a real win for Brighton tonight. That type of analysis for me has got to stop. And I can't control what people say or do, but I can push back against it and challenge. It's just, for me, it's tiring. because, as I said, I heard Simon Jordan do it on TalkSport this morning, which I know on YouTube gets, a few 100,000 views, but millions of people listen to that a day, saying that Haaland's goals haven't moved the needle for City, are not really a big achievement because winning football matches and scoring goals is easier now than it was 20, 30 years ago. And in the same very show says, if this City team wins a treble, it's the greatest English team of all time. That's how analysis is now. And maybe I'm wrong, but you've got to pick one of those sides. Either Haaland's goals don't matter as much, and therefore City's achievements don't matter as much as 20, 30 years ago, or it's outstanding. Both things can't exist at the same time. Chelsea can't be fake European champions because City bottled it, and Liverpool not in the AC Milan example. It's just boring. I'm sorry, I'm not calling you out personally. It's just boring now to hear. I'm sorry, and I know some of the viewers don't like it. It's become boring now. Like everyone does it to everybody's teams, and it's like, oh, we're going there again. It's just milked.
No, Terry, I hear what you're saying, but I do think, again, having one or the other opinion is too simplistic.
Why is it too simplistic? How can you believe? Let me ask you this question: how can it be the easiest era ever for top teams to score goals and win games, but equally the team that's doing that the greatest team ever?
No, I don't. No, I'm not signing up to whatever that guy said, because that doesn't make any sense. I'm just saying that generally, when things are so, you are a black and white, there is a lot of grey and stuff. So I think I don't like this binary opinion. It's either this or that. So I don't agree with that.
When it's Liverpool, there's grey. When it's Chelsea or City,
of course it is
black and white.
Yeah,
this
is what will happen in the FA Cup final. If Man United win the FA Cup final, people will say, "Well, you didn't really deserve it. City are a better team than you. They bottled it. It's not really yours." I just can't do it, man. I can't do it. A super chat here from Bob, who says, "Was gonna troll tonight, Terry, but this is your all. That all clear must have been such a huge burden off you. Let's go, my friend. Thank you, Bob. Yeah, it was. It was. I'll talk about it more on another occasion, but yeah, a massive burden off my shoulders. Brighton win 3 from 6. They're 5th. Liverpool lose this weekend is what Just Football has got to say there. Young Samuel's joined us. How you doing, bro?
I'm good. I'm glad that super chat came up because I love you know me. I love consistency. And I love how people are saying, and of course, Liverpool have to win all their games to even get a shot of top 4. But people are saying, shouldn't you be looking over the shoulder of Brighton? No, I'm not going to. I'm going to be straight off it. I'm not going to. And let's be consistent. Look at Brighton's games. Newcastle, Arsenal, Man City. Are Brighton going to be winning with their games? Those are going to be very tough games.
I agree.
If you're gonna be real. So like when we're talking about top 4, I'm confident that we can make it. If we don't make it, then to be honest, that's on us. We didn't for most of the season we were absolute rubbish. It's only just now we've gone on a run. So that's it on the top 4 for us. But move on to the Man United game, Brighton game. I kind of knew you lot were going to lose, and I don't know why. I would just like to say that Brighton's scouting team is absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The way they play football, imagine they've lost Potter, and they're playing even better. If you lot agree or not, they play even better than when Potter left. So I mean, the second half, I was watching the second half and I was thinking, my God, these lot are playing football. These lot are actually playing football. The way they were, you guys were trying to press them and they were just passing up. It was just calm. I'm seeing the defenders taking their time on the ball, even when Martial was trying to rush them. And it was just beautiful to watch. So Brighton are a brilliant team. On Man United side, the team can't lose their heads because it's not about how you play at the end of the season. It's just about getting the result. You can see Luke Shaw lost his head towards the end of the game. And that's what lost you the game. I know you guys got a couple of injuries, but you just need to get results. Just get the results, get the results.
Agreed.
Now, personally for me, if I'm going to be honest with myself, I do see you winning 3 games and getting top 4. However, It's the mentality. It's the mentality. Now, can you Man United fans say that your team has that mentality? I'll wait for you to answer that. But yeah.
Well,
Wait,
let me say on that.
Go on.
I think we've got Wolves at home, Fulham at home, Chelsea at home. I think we've lost
one game
at home, which is the first game of the season, first home game of the season against Brighton. So even amongst these like poor away results, so we obviously went away today. What was our last away?
You got West Ham on Saturday.
No, what was our last away game? Was it Newcastle?
Last away game was Nottingham Forest and beat them.
Well, Nottingham Forest, who won that, and before that was Newcastle. So in April we won 4 games. I think we lost 2 away or something like that, and 3 at home, 1 away. So for me, based on even our sketchy form at the back end of the season, having 3 games out of 5 at home, for me, I'm like, yeah, even without playing well or quote unquote mentality or whatever, I can't see us suddenly just turn into a bad team away from home and at home, because the performances that we're seeing away from home is not because of mentality at the end of the season. It's been consistent throughout the season. We just struggle away from home. So I think,
Nix, are you not discounting the pressure that's going to inevitably
no,
build?
of course.
I'll give you an example. You lose to West Ham.
I was about to say that if we lose to West Ham,
difficult when you're under pressure. You know,
if we lose to West Ham and you win against whoever you're playing, you go 1 point behind us. Yes, the Wolves game should be more difficult because of the pressure you're playing with, but it's still Wolves at home. So is it because? So are we going to lose every game between now and the end of the season because Liverpool are winning? Like,
and what I will say, sorry about the record. Our record away from home against the teams in the top 9 is poor. Our record the rest of the teams outside of it is 2nd or 3rd best in the league. Our home record is one of the best in the league. So we're going to go off form and regularity. The games have got left are very, very winnable for us. Sam's question is right, though. Can we handle this pressure? And this is a good moment to see whether these players can push through these barriers and push through these gateways. The only thing I would say about form, though, is I do feel in the last couple of games we've got to try and find some, because we have the FA Cup final, and that can't be discounted. So look, it's going to be peak, and some people are going to predict we're not going to make it because we're not good enough. They're also the same people that are saying we should be comfortably in top 4 because we've got a brilliant squad. I don't understand what they actually think about Man United not being consistent with that, but I think we'll make it. Go on.
I think United will make top 4, but it will feel more like an achievement than any of us would have thought that it would feel like in January, February times. That's my prediction. I would put money on that as well.
Yeah, and that makes sense because you can't discount that Liverpool have come into form and picked up. Now, if Liverpool were losing and dropping points like they were 2 or 3 months ago, this wouldn't be a conversation. And that's why when people say, well, you're making it because there's no competition. Well, according to Liverpool fans, you're winning your last 10 matches. So therefore, if we make it, there's been competition. So look, Liverpool are coming. I thought it would be Newcastle that dropped out. The form they've gone on to has been exceptional. Since the Carabao Cup final, they've been amazing. There's no doubt about it. But I predicted in January that Liverpool would come strong and nick it. I just hope that doesn't come to fruition now, because it would be my team that loses out. Because unless Newcastle fall off the edge of a cliff out of nowhere, I just can't see them not making it now.
And we talk about pressure. Well, Liverpool, if we continue to drop off like we are, the pressure is back on Liverpool. Because now there would no longer be, oh, United are so far ahead of us, we just got to win our games. Now it's like, oh crap, we actually have to do this now. Otherwise, we will also bottle it. So we can throw Samuel's asking it from a genuine place. Can we handle the pressure? I think we can in the end. But say if we didn't, could Liverpool handle the pressure of the season that they have so far to actually get over the line?
Do you know what? One thing I'll say on that, KJ, for you is I think it's important that you play teams at the right time. Like, for example, Bournemouth, I think is a dangerous game for you guys because they're fighting for survival and they've really picked up the way they play. They've knocked over some, good teams in the past couple of games, right? So again, I always say to people, you want to play certain teams at the right time.
But then you've got
Bournemouth have got 2 games before they play us. They're already on 39 points, which is clear the relegation zone. By the time they play us, I will be very, very surprised if they're still fighting against relegation.
Yeah, and guys, just not to flog it. Yeah, go on. Last point, because I want to move on to the Martial stuff. I don't want to keep flogging this point. We've been on it for 40 minutes.
And that's fair, but then you've got Leicester who are fighting, you've got Southampton who are fighting, and you've got Aston Villa fighting for Europe. So You can play the whole. It's important for
Yeah.
us to realize that we've got all these. So do you. So let's just
It just
let's
works
just do a
both ways.
shootout.
Yeah.
It works
And
both
let's-
ways, and
let's
we've
do
got a
a shootout.
4-point advantage with the game in
Let's
hand.
just boil it down to this. Liverpool are in this race. They're the better team with the better manager. They're coming for us. And it's going to be a brilliant race and a brilliant end to the season. And let's all sit back and let's enjoy it. I did want to speak before the end of the show about Anthony Martial, because for me, I don't know what the United fans think watching, but for me, I don't even just think looks done at Man United. He looks done at the elite level of the sport for me. I don't even know what teams would be interested in. He looks finished.
Yeah, I looked at that game.
Torino.
So go on, Disney.
Torino. He needs to go to Rio Sociedad. He needs to go to Nice, Montpellier, those kind of teams in a league where everything's a lot slower. Injuries have screwed him over, man. He's done, unfortunately. But this is the cutthroat business of football. You don't keep passengers for the sake of nostalgia. You gotta get rid of them when it's time. He's fell off. He didn't live up to what we thought he would. He had 2 very promising seasons when he first joined United, but since then, he's flat to deceive. He had 1 good season under Oli where he scored 23 goals, I believe.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But other than that, he's not been the guy that we thought he would, and we can't trust him. When he sits on the bench, he complains. He wants to be the main starting number 9. So realistically, there's no reason to hold on to him for me personally.
I'm not gonna lie, Disney. When Weghorst was coming on, I wasn't even mad. Like that's how bad it was. And you know how much I don't like Weghorst. But when it was coming, I was like, you know what? Ten Hag, I hear it. I hear it. Like I even forgot Weghorst was an option. I was like, oh, fair enough. I get it. Like it's a sad watch. He's turning like a truck, but it's not like he's big. He's just so stiff,
slow.
It's not good.
And
I'm watching again. It's not even just him. Obviously we're talking about him, but there's so many other positions I'm like, as the game's going, we need to strengthen there, we need to strengthen there, we need to strengthen there. And the striker position, like, it's not the only issue, but we can fix every other issue. If we don't get a proper striker, forget about whatever we want to plan for next season. Forget about it. Even if the striker position is so important, it's priority number 1.
Yeah, and Martial, I love the guy. I always will. Give me some great moments, but I just don't think he has the mentality to make it at a top level anymore. Like, he just doesn't. Like, we've seen it over the years. He lost a shirt number. He was upset. He got benched. He was upset. He had competition. He's upset. He plays his best football when there's no competition, and that's not good enough for Manchester United. And now he clearly, the injuries are a mental block. When Rashford had his poor season last year, in the summer, gym. You know what I mean? He got rid of the blonde hair. He was working. You could see it. You could see that he would come back and have a decent season. I'm not saying Martial probably isn't doing those things. He probably is. But to what level is he doing it? To how much effort is he actually truly putting in to better himself? I don't know what that is.
There was a moment in the game tonight. There was 2 moments in the game tonight, which I don't even know if it's physical. I think this is partly mental. There was a 50-50 tackle in the second half, just outside the box. And look, he could have, the way you have to go in with a side foot now, you can't go in with studs. And when you go in with those side foot tackles, there's always a chance you hurt yourself. I believe when you're a professional athlete, you must risk hurting yourself for your team to win games. When you're paid like they're paid, they're not a plumber who's playing Sunday league football. And if he breaks a leg, he's off work for 6 months and can't pay his mortgage. If this man, even if his career was ended with the tackle, which I pray to God it doesn't ever happen, fixed for life. I don't expect to see a pro footballer pull out of a tackle, and he did. There was a pass that was played down the left-hand side of the box in the first half, and you see Dunk coming across, and he's going to shoulder barge him, and Martial doesn't even get to the ball, and he had the speed to, but he sees a big man come, and he's like, no, I don't fancy that. That lack of strength mentally, that lack of fight, and I had to go at Sancho for it the other day, I don't like to see. Although he hasn't had the greatest season, I look at little Anthony. Anthony's taken a clattering. He don't care. And that's because he wants to win games, as an example. And we need more of that. We need more. Bukayo Saka does it. Look at the size of him. He's tiny. He is so strong. He's so tough, both mentally and physically. And I think Anthony Martial, maybe it's because of the injuries. He's like, oh, I don't want to risk getting hurt again. So maybe that's what does it. But I don't really care what the underlying factor is. You can't have your main number 9 who pulls out of tackles. You actually can't have any player in any professional team that wants to win trophies that's good. You think Haaland's pulling out that tackle? No, never. You think Kane's pulling out that tackle? I've seen Kane injure himself, hurt his ankles, be out for 2 months. because he didn't pull out of a tackle, because you set a tone. When you pull out those tackles, your opponents go, we've got them. We've absolutely got them. And it was one of the reasons why Patrice Evra said men v boys versus Arsenal, because they played good football, but you went in on them and then they shy away. And we've got too many players in this Man United team that don't want to fight. And I know a lot of people don't like the talk of passion and desire, but look at the school and people that have taught Ten Hag about football. What does he talk about more than anything else? Passion, desire. I watched All or Nothing with Pep Guardiola. Passion, desire, work rate. Go out there and run through a brick wall. Every great manager, every great athlete, every great sportsman in history talks far more about their desire than they do their technical ability. And he's gone. And I love Martial, and I wish he hadn't. You know, I look at him and Pogba. They're my two biggest regrets probably of the last decade at Man United, of players that didn't quite fulfill their potential at our club. Because if they did,
Agreed.
you know, we could be, imagine them two in their pomp now with what Ten Hag's doing. It'd be ridiculous. But yeah, gotta go. Gotta go for me.
I think also one of the big issues which I was looking at today, and I think it's a good comparison when you come up against a team like Brighton, is the goalkeeper. And David here again, he made some good saves today. Some brilliant save. That shot from McAllister, that the way it just flew through the defense and through the legs, and he made a brilliant save. And I thought his save at the end obviously got us the draw, but it brought back for the penalty. But in that second half, I remember a couple times that we passed out from the back. One of them we nearly conceded, and I think the other time we actually advanced at the pitch. But pretty much every goal kick or whatever, it was a long ball, and the ball just kept coming back, and And when you're away from home, at home, as I said, our form is good, our results are good, because teams sit back. We're the ones who are going to take the owner, so we can even maybe pass out from the back easier. But when you go away from home, especially against a team like Brighton, they have the owners to go and get something from the game, whether it be a win or draw, to get something. So they're going to be pressing high up the pitch on the front foot, and we don't have the ability, and we showed it today, to play out from the back, which invites pressure. So when you don't take when you don't take those chances in the first half, Anthony missed in the first minute, and among other openings that we had, that with the final pass or the final shot wasn't good enough. In the second half, when you're going back to front and then they're passing their way back through, you're inviting pressure, and ultimately the pressure, not in the way that it did, but the pressure is going to tell. So I don't think there's any coincidence that our away results are what they are. From back to front, we need like 4 or 5 stars in the summer.
But that's the things today, especially, I was saying it to my dad, we couldn't play out from the back because the BE pressed too much, but then we couldn't play it long because none of our strikers was holding up the ball and winning it in the air consistently enough. So we was just in this, when it came back to the Gea, we was just in this limbo of what the hell do we do? Because we can't, and then the midfield, we can't give it to midfield because we had no one right now who can take the ball and drive with it through the midfield. So it's just like today's game especially, we're just in this weird limbo of where does the ball go? How do we get it to our attackers? And ultimately, that's why.
I listen. I get that. This super chat. Sorry, this comment here from a member, Joe. It says Martial legitimately had a coach, Erik Ten Hag, that loved him, and I actually think that's true. He moved him straight into his preferred position. Loves his game, wanted him to succeed, but Martial still couldn't do it. Injuries and inconsistency have shown Ten Hag that he just can't be trusted. But do you know what I think the difference is? And there is a super chat here that says none of what we're saying matters if the Glazers stay. You're right. But this is where I trust Ten Hag. I don't think Ten Hag is going to manage with sentimentality. I don't think he's going to go, I'm going to give Martial one more go to see if he can do it. He'll say, no, we need someone better. The maddest bit is he was only a couple of years in. And the problem is it all becomes, I don't know why, because people didn't like Jose's style of football. They didn't like the players he wanted to cut out. But there's Jose, all the things we're seeing from Martial now, Jose spoke about. And it was funny when he used to get called lazy. You're like, oh, what? Because he doesn't track back? No, because he doesn't do the hard yards from an attacking point of view. I wish they did player cam on Haaland. You watch the amount of runs he makes that the camera don't even pick up. That man is working all game for an opening and in. That's why he always scores goals. The problem is with a Martial is he'll make a good run 2 or 3 times in a game, but there'll be 10 other times that he should be making runs and he doesn't, and it gives you a lack of options. The problem is you only notice that when you're at games. And I've seen Martial do that, and I've heard sort of professional pundits talk about it. And ability-wise, he's up there. He's absolutely up there. But yeah, he's got to go. And listen, Harry Kane, Victor Osimhen, massively needed.
And you know what? The Sorry.
No, go on,
And
Dizzy.
you know what? The other thing is the Weghorst signing was a warning shot. Martial needed to look at that and say, you know, I could be out the door here, and that didn't happen. When the problem with Martial is if he's having a good game, he's on fire. He is a threat to everybody involved. When he's having an off game, he is absolutely non-existent, like absolutely not interested, walking around the pitch, might get hooked off around 60 minutes. He just doesn't want it when it's not his day, and we can't have people like that in our squad. And if Ten Hag, I'm not sentimental at this point. I'm ready to ship off whoever Ten Hag's ready to ship off, to be completely clean with you. So if Martial's one of the casualties, so
Mate, I think. Sorry, you were going to say something, Zain. Go on,
Yeah,
bro.
I was kind of from a rival's point of view, right? Generally, rivals always give shit to players that they're scared of in a rival team, right? It's what the weird thing is. No one really talks about Martial apart from Man United fans. I know there's a big split in the in the Man United fan base where you've either got pro Martial fans or against Martial fans. Right? And as a rival, we are a bit confused why he stayed at the club for so long, because we like I said, I'd never felt he's been a threat for the past 3-4 seasons. Do you know what I mean? Right? And it's like he's still there, bro. And I just think to myself, it's like,
yeah, Zain, you're right. You're right. But do you know why he's still there? Do you know why he's still there? So Jose wanted rid of him, and the Glazers said no. And what he typically did under Ollie at the beginning started well.
Mm-hmm.
It started quite well. And you thought, oh, maybe he's onto something. And then injuries, and he waned off. He went out on loan. So they did try and get rid of him, but he only got a loan. Came back. We weren't prepared to spend money on a number 9 this summer. So as much as the manager liked him and goes, let's give it a go, our manager wanted a number 9, an outright number 9, because he knew he wasn't good enough. Glazeronomics is why he's here. Glazeronomics, because when Jose wanted rid of him, there was still a feeling that he could go on to be a top player. But Jose just said, for one reason or another, he's never going to make it here. He definitely isn't going to make it under me. And the Glazers told Jose, no, you're not selling it. And that was why it all fell apart for Jose, because suddenly he didn't have control of a dressing room for the first time in his career. And I think for me, like, there's so much to love about Martial, but he doesn't do the hard yards from an attacking point of view. Doesn't make the runs off the shoulder enough. Isn't strong enough when he drops deep to hold the ball up because he hasn't got the fight. Technical ability and finishing ability is there. But the reason that Haaland and the reason that Kane score more goals is because they work harder to get into particular positions. Victor Osimhen, watch Osimhen and watch his work rate in a game in comparison to Anthony Martial's. That's the difference between those players. It isn't just technical ability. Work rate is so underrated by football fans. It's unbelievable.
But even the things that we love about Martial, he doesn't do it nowhere near enough. The things that you think Martial, you're like, this is exactly who he is when he's on fire. He doesn't do it nowhere near enough. So it's not enough to say what he does X, Y, Z great, because he doesn't show it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I want to say a big thank you to all the viewers tonight for tuning in, especially the ones cooking us. Thank you very, very much indeed. But we deserve it tonight. We lost fair and square. We've got to hold our hands up. Big weekend ahead. And the good thing for football fans is at least there's something exciting now, a top 4 race. That's the one thing. Sorry. The one thing I would say is a massive top 4 race that's on now, but we'll see what happens. We're live tomorrow. Transfer updates in the morning and football. I don't know what else is going to be happening. We'll do some content. Top 6 shows, 6 p.m. tomorrow night. Make sure you're all tuning in for that. We've got a brilliant panel as well. Until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon.